Now you've got your guitar now, and we're going to talk a little bit about the different parts of the guitar. Your guitar may not be exactly like what I have in hand here, but that's not going to make too much of a difference since we'll pretty much be doing everything the same way, whether you're playing an acoustic like I'm playing, or you might be playing an electric guitar, which has got to be plugged in. There's slight differences, but for our purposes today, it's not going to be a big deal. So the first thing we need to look at is right up here, we have what's called the headstock. On the headstock, we have these tuning knobs, which can be turned away from us or toward us to bring the pitch of the string up or down. The tuning posts or pegs, which is where the string connects to the head of the guitar. We have the nut of the guitar, which supports the strings and holds them in place where they should be. The neck of the guitar. This is where we do all of the fretting. That's where we make our chords. Along the neck of the guitar, we have these wires going up and down. These are the fret wires. In between the fret wires is the actual frets. Between all these fret wires. That's where we actually put our finger down to produce sound on the guitar. You'll notice as we go farther up the neck, they get skinnier. Other guitars will have markings, dots, right here. You can see them, they're called inlays in the neck of the guitar. Certain guitars will have those at different places. A lot of times if you look right on top of the neck, right up here, there'll be dots that will mark certain frets. And those are basically going to be your guideposts when you're playing. So most guitars will have inlays at, mine only has them at the 5th, the 7th, the 9th, the 12th, and then we go up to 15th and 17th. Some will have them at 3, 5, 9, or 3, 5, 7, 9, and 12. Others may not have any at all, but some might just have them at 5 and 7. But when you see these markers here, essentially what that's used for is, so for a real quick reference tool to, okay, where am I at on the guitar? The next thing we'll look at then is the actual body of the guitar. And that's all of this right here. On an acoustic guitar, it's going to be a little bit thicker than an electric guitar. It's hollow because that's what produces the sound. And all the sound comes out of here, what we call the sound hole. On an electric guitar, you'll generally have a body that's one solid piece of wood. There may be some knobs back here, and that will generally control your volume, and there may be some switches where you can select which pickups, and we use pickups are the little electronic things right here that send our signal out into an amp. Finally, we have what's called the bridge of the guitar, and this is the other end where the strings are secured. Besides up here, they're secured down here too, so they're suspended across the sound hole and across the neck. And then finally, we have our strings. Now, each of these strings gets a number, starting with the lowest, and when I say lowest, I mean pitch. The lowest pitch string, which is also the thickest string, will be called the 6th string. The next one up, which is the next lowest string, or next highest, however you want to think of that, will be the 5th, followed by the 4th, the 3rd, the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. Now, each of these strings, besides getting a number, has a name of a note that corresponds with it. And those will go E. On the low 6th string is the E string. A is the 5th string. We have D for the 4th string. G for the 3rd string. B for the 2nd string. And finally, another E on top for the 1. That's E, A, D, G, B, E. And if I think back to how I was taught to remember that, I always think, eat a darn good breakfast every day. You can make up your own saying if that doesn't really work for you. You can maybe try something else. Maybe you don't like breakfast. But that's how I was taught how to remember those strings.